Don't soar. Don't soar. Don't soar. The immortal realm is a created void. Coming from nothingness, one can truly cultivate. Our cultivators seek immortality. When the tranquility of the immortal world is illusory, immortals are just one identity, and immortals are all petty and petty. Immortals, cannibalistic. I will stay in the world, break this day, be an immortal. Keywords of the novel. I am in the human scrolling immortal without a pop-up window. I am downloading the complete collection of the human scrolling immortal TXT, and I am reading the latest chapter of the human scrolling immortal. Chapter 1. Dreams. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Dreams. Senior Sister, Senior Sister. The secret passage is about to open. Senior Uncle asked us to quickly gather and seize the position. With a shout accompanied by a hurried knocking on the door, Yunlan woke up from a deep sleep, with a momentary blank in her mind and countless fragments flashing by, but she couldn't catch a single one. After a moment, Yunlan woke up and replied to her junior brother outside the door, "I'll be there soon." I don't know how many times it has been, but she fell asleep and had many messy dreams during the process of falling asleep. But after waking up, apart from the genuine feeling in the dream, I remember nothing specific about it. The situation in last night's dream seemed intense, and even now, she can still feel the pain of her body and consciousness being torn apart from the inside out. But inexplicably, there was no anger, but a feeling of immense pleasure. After tidying up her appearance, Yunlan tidied up her personal belongings in the room and walked outside the inn. Most of the disciples of the sect had already arrived. Recently, a new secret realm has emerged near Changchun Gate, which has little impact on the surrounding spiritual energy. According to the judgment of Changchun Gate, it should be a low-risk secret realm suitable for cultivators during the Foundation and Golden Pill periods to enter. Tianyan sect is adjacent to Changchun Gate. A few years ago, they recruited a group of new disciples and happened to take them to this secret realm for training and experience. Yunlan, as the senior sister of Ruoxu Peak, broke through the golden elixir period at the age of only 16, and was naturally arranged to escort the disciples of the sect. In fact, there are not many people in Ruoxu Peak where she is located. Peak Master Mingxiu has not had much intention of accepting disciples in recent years, so he is not considered a miscellaneous disciple. There are only 4 disciples of Ruoxu Peak, along with Yunlan, who were all picked up by Peak Master during his travels. During this trip to the secret realm, except for the youngest junior sister who had just broken through the foundation building period and ranked last, all of Ruoxufeng's personally transmitted disciples were here. The one who just called Yunlan was Minji, one of her twin junior brothers. His appearance and voice were almost the same as his brother Mingzhao's, and even the Ling Zhen was the same. It was difficult to distinguish them. Senior sister. Senior sister. Mingzhao and Minji greeted Yunlan one by one. The two brothers have a peculiar preference to act the same, so that others can't guess who they are. Today, the two of them were wearing the same sky blue robes, with swords on their backs and identical hairstyles. It goes without saying that Yunlan knew what they were up to. However, some people who are familiar with them have ways to distinguish them. Although these two brothers look the same, their personalities are vastly different, and their cultivation methods are also different. As long as Yunlan forces them to take action, their identities will have nowhere to hide. However, at the moment she saw them, a scene suddenly came to Yunlan's mind. Her junior brothers and sisters stood behind her master, their expressions indifferent, looking at her with a very unfamiliar gaze. She wanted to get closer to them, but they were getting further and further away from her. "Senior sister, what are you thinking?" A junior brother leaned over to Yunlan's side. Mingyi has a personality that is detached, and Ming Zhao's personality needs to be more stable. Seeing the familiar appearance of her junior brother, Yunlan suppressed the image that had just appeared in her mind. Their sect has always been harmonious, how could they possibly become what she saw? Unless she has committed an unforgivable mistake. No, with the personality of her master, junior brothers, and sisters, even if she has made a mistake, they will stand by her side and become her solid support. Or is it that her cultivation has progressed too quickly and she has developed a mental demon? It is said that what a person fears the most, their inner demons will appear in whatever form. It seems that after the end of the secret realm, she will have to go out and travel for a period of time to remove her inner demons before continuing her cultivation. I'm thinking about what this secret realm will look like, and can I find the materials for this life spirit sword for you? Yunlan replied. Her junior brothers and sisters are all in swordsmanship, and after entering the golden elixir period, they need to cultivate their own spiritual swords, so the materials naturally need to be prepared from the foundation period onwards. Ming Zhao, who was young and mature, analyzed with a stern face, based on the influence of the secret realm on the surrounding spiritual energy from the present to the present, even if there are heavenly materials and earthly treasures inside, the level will not be too high. Instead of hoping to find materials for the spiritual sword in this secret realm, it is better to contact sect missions more and accumulate enough spiritual stones to buy from the commercial store. Shit. Senior sister, don't listen to him. Zhao Zhao would say discouraging words. Every time he does something, it's him pouring cold water on it. But later on, it's not like it all happened. Who is your name, Zhao Zhao? No big or small. You should call me brother. Ming Zhao was dissatisfied. Ming Yi proudly said, if you have the ability, call me Yi Yi. Ming Zhao's face stinked even worse. This kid was born with an annoying skill. Ye sounds like grandpa, isn't he taking advantage of it? Silence. A majestic voice exploded in everyone's ears, but it did not affect anyone else near the inn. The middle-aged skinny old man wearing dark blue is the leader of this trip, and Yunlan's martial uncle, Xuanqing Taoist, comes from the Balian Peak and is in the early stages of distraction. The sound that appeared in the ears of the disciples of Tianyan sect was a secret technique that could only be mastered after the golden elixir period produced divine consciousness. Transmitting sound into secret. Xuanqing Taoist relied on his powerful divine awareness in the early stages of distraction to accurately deliver his voice to the ears of every disciple. All the disciples stopped their ongoing actions and looked at him. Everyone has arrived, board the ship and set off. A blue boat appeared in the hands of Xuanqing Taoist, who was muttering words. The boat grew long in the wind, and after a few breaths, it was already 10 zhang long, hovering in mid-air. The disciples of Tianyan sect immediately rose from the ground and fell into the boat. There are a total of 23 disciples on this trip, and a 10 zhang long boat is more than enough to carry them. After everyone boarded the boat, Taoist Xuanqing gently landed at the bow of the boat, and the whole boat rose from the ground. In an instant, he led everyone to the sky 10 miles away and disappeared into the clouds. Surrounded by the towering peaks, one can only see the top of the strange mountains, with a pure white covering underneath. However, after reaching the period of distraction in cultivation, divine consciousness can extend to 10 miles away. With each stage of improvement, an additional 10 miles can be gained. Therefore, this cloud layer has no impact on the vision of Xuanqing Taoist. Yunlan and her 2 junior brothers sat together, using their spiritual power to form a shield around them, resisting the strong wind brought by the rapid advance. This is one of the practices they engage in while traveling. Minji looked enviously at Xuanqing Taoist standing at the bow of the boat. He did not use spiritual power to resist like his disciples did. The wind blew his hair and clothes with a sizzling sound, but it did not affect him at all. When can we also cultivate to the level of master and uncle, he sighed. Their master, Mingshu Zi, was also in the early stage of being distracted, but his master never showed them the power of a spiritual cultivator during the excessive period of being distracted. Practice hard and one day you will. The Xuanqing Taoist in front heard their conversation and turned around to nod at them, showing an encouraging smile. Senior sister Yunlan and her younger brothers naturally smiled back. In theory, Taoist Xuanqing is a very kind elder who treats the disciples of the sect very well. The Qinglian sword in Yun Lan's hand was given to her by the other party when she first broke through the golden elixir period. For some unknown reason, the smile on Xuanqing's face just now gave her a very discordant feeling, as if he shouldn't have smiled like that. And after waking up, Yun Lan felt a bit uneasy about this trip to the secret realm, as if something big was about to happen. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Impossible to provoke. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Impossible to provoke. The spirit boat flew on the clouds for about half an hour before setting down, and green gradually reappeared in everyone's sight. In fact, Xuanqing Daoist could be faster, but he had to consider the endurance of the disciples on the spiritual boat, which slowed down the speed. The surrounding scenery caught the eyes of the disciples of Tianyan sect, and the secret realm was located in a huge canyon. The cliffs on both sides were several hundred zhang high, as if piercing into the clouds. The entrance of the canyon is guarded by Changchun gatekeepers, and entering requires paying a certain amount of spirit stones to purchase tickets. The spirit boat of Tianyan sect stopped in a nearby open space, and there were already many people waiting here before them. Most of them are divided by sects, while the scattered cultivators gather in a chaotic area. Taoist Xuanqing went to pay for his disciples to enter the secret realm. Nowadays, the cultivation world is like this. The reality of the secret realm has no rules, and it appears within the power range of any sect, even if it is the property of that sect. Others who want to explore the secret realm must pay an entrance fee to the sect here. Yun Lan explained to his two junior brothers about the sect they came to this time. The one wearing a yellow-brown Taoist robe is a disciple of the giant spirit sect, who cultivates the technique of Dharma appearance. If you are facing them, you must defeat them before the opponent uses the Dharma appearance. What if he uses the Dharma? Mingyi asked. The Dharma form can allow them to unleash power that is one level higher than their own cultivation, and they can also possess a characteristic of the original form of the Dharma form. Even Ming Zhao, who was listening on the side, was surprised and said, "Aren't they able to unleash the power of the golden elixir period during the foundation building period? How can they fight? No way." Although the power of the Dharma is enormous, it also consumes a lot of their spiritual power and divine consciousness. This state can last for at most one incense stick, and there will be a period of weakness after exiting. Most disciples of the giant spirit sect are not good at speed. If you encounter them, just save your spiritual power and deal with them. When time comes, you can win without fighting. Remember not to forcefully touch them. Senior sister, what about those naked upper body people over there? Yun Lan glanced in the direction pointed out by Ming Zhao, who were a group of muscular men with bare upper bodies, ferocious and intimidating, looking at them. Iron Bone Gate, cultivating a sect alone, is not worth paying attention to. However, their sect's unique power Infinite Talisman and Iron Bone Talisman are good things. In the future, when you go out alone to experience, you can prepare one or two, which are useful for cultivators below the Yuaning period. Iron Bone Gate has a high defense, but it is not a problem for sword cultivators who claim to break 10,000 laws with one sword. Oh. Ming Zhao and Minji were not very old after all, and this was their first time practicing outside the sect. Curiously, they looked at everything around them, and by then their gaze had shifted to the disciples of Changchun Gate. There are many female cultivators in Changchun Gate, and it seems that the proportion of female disciples in this generation is even larger, with almost no men visible when looking at them. Yun Lan reminded, "You can't be careless with the Changchun disciples. They are not only Dan cultivators, but also experts in using poison. If you underestimate them, you may not even know how they died." Ah! The female disciples led by Changchun Gate happened to see these two handsome twin brothers and even smiled at them. However, before the two brothers could express goodwill to each other, they were frightened by their own senior sister. Facing the female disciple's gaze, Yunlan nodded and continued to sound the alarm for her two junior brothers, saying, "When you're out, always keep an eye on everything. Not every cultivator you meet may be bad, but as long as you meet one bad person, it's enough to make you pay a price. You have only one life, whether it's me, my master, or my junior sister, they don't want to hear the news of your death. Do you remember?" "Remember," the two of them replied in unison. Yunlan was still looking in the direction of the disciples of Changchun Gate from afar. She had never seen the female disciple who had just smiled at them before, but it gave her an incredibly familiar feeling. Vaguely, she saw a fiery red figure approaching her with a large knife. Not right. Yunlan shook her head and drove the image out of her mind. Sure enough, she has been having problems with her cultivation recently. The female disciple is clearly Dan Xiu, how could she become a Dao Xiu to fight against her? Let's settle down. Various situations may occur in the secret realm, and maintaining the best state can help you cope with the next situation. Yunlan sat cross-legged and closed her eyes. The spiritual energy around has gradually calmed down, no more than half a day, and the channel of this secret realm is about to appear. Last night, she fell into a deep sleep again from her composure. In order to avoid any accidents in the secret realm, she must now gather her energy in energy. However, Yunlan's spiritual power had not yet run out for a whole week, and a powerful aura quickly flew towards this place, startling all the cultivators, but the other party showed no intention of concealing it. Shit, a few clear cries rang out, and two horses with four hooves on fire and snow-white bodies pulled a carriage with flowing light and overflowing gold from the sky. A distance of over 100 miles was crossed in the blink of an eye, and the luxurious carriage was within reach. The five-colored star symbol on the main door of the carriage represents the origin of the newcomer. The second major gate of the cultivation world, the Five Elements sect. The fifth-level spirit beast Yu Yanju, they used such a spirit object to pull the cart. Ming Zhao, who was familiar with the spirit beast collection, couldn't help but whisper. Ming Yi also said, Li Luo has always wanted a second-level spirit beast but can't afford it. The Five Elements sect is really rich and powerful. Junior brother, be cautious. Yunlan stopped the discussion between Ming Zhao and Minji. The fifth-level spirit beast is equivalent to a distracted cultivator, and its strength is already comparable to that of the Xuanqing Taoist. Now let it voluntarily pull the cart, and there may be people in the cart who have far more strength than the distracted cultivator. If this is really true, their words and actions will be seen by the other party. There are currently 3 cultivators in the Five Elements sect who have crossed the tribulation period, 17 elders in the Mahayana period, and several cultivators in the combined period. With the addition of reclusive wandering immortals, no one knows how much heritage they have. 1,000 years ago, Tianyan sect was also well known in the cultivation world, with transitional period cultivators appearing, otherwise they would not have been able to establish themselves in the hinterland of Zhongzhou. However, currently within the sect, except for the reclusive 4th-level scattered immortal ancestor, the highest cultivation is the leader Yukingzi, who was in the late stage of distraction. The other elders are all in the early stage of distraction, so do not provoke people from the Five Elements sect. Fortunately, the carriage did not come towards them, but instead rushed towards the more spacious area where the scattered cultivators were located. Oh, the Yu Yanju, who was pulling the carriage, let out another cry. The powerful pressure spread around the carriage, and the others present gathered their spiritual power to resist. But after all, it was a 5th-level spirit beast, and even if it was just emitting pressure, it was not something that ordinary foundation-building cultivators could resist. Many people were overturned on the spot. Be truly bold. Yunlan stood in front of the 2 junior brothers, helping them resist most of the pressure, which prevented them from being as embarrassed as the others. The cultivators of other sects also followed suit, but the scattered cultivators were not so lucky. They reluctantly dispersed like birds and beasts, and even dared not have an angry expression on their faces. Normally, Changchun Gate would have stood up to maintain order, but this time it was the Five Elements sect who came, and even they dared not provoke it. According to rumors, there are three things in the cultivation world that cannot be provoked. The Golden Lion of the Imperial Beast sect cannot be provoked. The Golden Lion has a high cultivation level and a hot temper, accompanied by a Mahayana spiritual beast, the golden-haired roaring heavenly lion. Even the cultivators during the crossing period dare not provoke him. It was only because a demon cultivator offended him that he rushed into the demon cultivator's headquarters and killed for 7 days and 7 nights, which finally calculated his anger. The madman of the sword sect cannot be provoked. Within the sword sect, there are all sword cultivators who protect their swords and are not willing to give up. If they provoke someone, they will come to join a group and never give up until they die. The disciples of the Five Elements sect cannot be provoked. Since the first sect, Tai Yi sect, avoided the world 500 years ago, the only one active in the cultivation world today is the Five Elements sect, a truly top-level sect. One mistake is the disaster of annihilating the sect. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Immortal Legacy Mansion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Immortal Legacy Mansion. The two jade-hot horses with their hooves soared into the air and fell heavily, completely flattening the area with spiritual power. Crushed stones splattered everywhere, even the distant area where Yunlan and Tianyan's sect were located could not be avoided. Faced with the roaring stones, Yunlan's hand movements were faster. Before her brain could react, she grabbed them in a mysterious trajectory, unloading the spiritual power wrapped around them. On the other hand, even cultivators in the golden elixir period need to raise spiritual shields to resist these weapons that come with the spiritual power of 5th-level spirit beasts. Some of the scattered cultivators who were closer to the carriage did not react, and their bodies were directly punctured with blood by those small stones. Senior sister, how many levels have you reached in your Tianyan Wuhan hand training? Mingzhao and Minji were afraid for a moment, and they could see clearly from behind that the small stone was originally flying towards them. If it weren't for the senior sister blocking them, they would not have had much difference from the fate of those scattered cultivators. But Yunlan's displayed strength surprised them. The small stone that required other cultivators in the Golden Core period to use their spiritual power to resist was easily grabbed by their senior sister. This is not Tianyan's traceless hand. That's not Tianyan's traceless hand. Two voices sounded at the same time, and Yunlan was stunned for a moment. She met the eyes of Xuanqing Taoist who had returned from paying the spirit stone. Senior uncle. Yunlan bowed to Taoist Xuanqing, and Ming Zhao and Ming Yi followed suit. The method you used just now is really ingenious. It seems like there are dragon shadows around. I don't know where you learned it from, said Taoist Xuanqing. I was just thinking about blocking these two stones, but when I realized it, those two stones were already in my hands. Yunlan didn't know what kind of state she was in just now, it was more like an instinctive action. When she started, her spiritual power swam on her hands, but it was a bit raw, but it was not the style of their Tianyan sect secret book, Tianyan Wushan hand. To be honest, Yunlan's cultivation as a Taoist Xuanqing naturally shows that she is not lying. That's actually a technique you learned on your own. Amazing. Do you still remember the feeling when you cast it? If it could be reproduced, it would definitely be no weaker than the secret script of the sect. Give it a try, disciple. Yunlan recalled her previous actions and infused her spiritual power into her hands. However, the previously unobstructed trajectory now seemed to have not been cleared, as if everything just now was an illusion. Xuanqing Taoist looked disappointed, but he didn't make things difficult for Yunlan and comforted her with a few words. If you can use it once, you will definitely be able to use it again, and you will eventually fully understand it in the future. The carriage in the distance stopped there, in stark contrast to the commotion that had just appeared. The people of the Five Elements sect had no intention of communicating with other cultivators. Xuanqing Daoist once again explained to the disciples of Tianyan sect the precautions to take after entering the secret realm. Although he had already said it more than 3 times before, in order to allow more disciples to come back alive, such reminders were not many times, even if they were 10 times. About an hour later, there was finally movement within the canyon. Yunlan used her divine sense to perceive carefully. At first it was like a surging tide, but soon it turned into a highly attractive vortex, and all the spiritual energy around rushed towards the secret realm, even briefly creating a vacuum area without spiritual energy. Is this a place of absolute spiritual isolation? It is rumored that there was a fierce battle between the ancient cultivators, which shattered the mountains and rivers, dividing the continent of the cultivation world into 5 and transforming it into 5 continents. The current secret realm is the continental debris that was swept up by the turbulence of space at that time. After so many years of spiritual cultivation, without the interference of cultivators, most of them have become a blessed place with many heavenly and earthly treasures hidden, and a small part is a realm of absolute spirit, with no spiritual energy at all. The cultivation world has rich experience in this regard. The stronger the spiritual energy in the secret realm, the higher the concentration of spiritual energy in the vicinity of the secret realm as the time of the present world approaches. Conversely, the opposite is true. You can determine the suitable cultivation level to enter based on the richness of spiritual energy around the secret realm. If it is a place of spiritual isolation, spiritual energy will be extracted from the outside world in the present world, specifically manifested by a decrease in the concentration of spiritual energy near the secret realm. However, the appearance of the land of absolute spirits is extremely rare, and it is also rare in the history of the cultivation world. No, it shouldn't be. Yunlan quickly denied her idea. If it were a place of spiritual isolation, the secret realm would not start absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy when the channel was about to appear. A black line appeared over this area, rapidly expanding into a circular channel with a diameter of about 1 zhang long, and the surrounding spiritual energy flowed towards it. Not only spiritual energy, but also light seems to be absorbed by it, a pitch-black area that cannot be explored. This is the first time that everyone has seen such a strange channel. Other secret realm channels are now visible from the outside, and some of the situation inside can be seen, giving cultivators another choice whether to enter or not. But this time, the secret passage is filled with a mysterious atmosphere. While other cultivators were still hesitating, the person from the 5 Elements sect inside the carriage moved. The golden door curtain was lifted, and a young man of about 16 or 17 years old with a rebellious face walked down from inside. His hairpin, clothes, belt, and shoes are all adorned with precious light, at least all of which are of medium quality. Cultivation. Only during the foundation building period. Soon, another old woman walked out of the carriage. When she appeared, the 2 Yuyan horses pulling the cart made a few uncomfortable movements and suddenly calmed down. The peak of the distraction period. Taoist Xuanqing's face sank. No, it's not the peak of the distraction period, or rather she used to be the peak of the distraction period. The old woman now only has the strength of the peak of the primordial baby period, but still retains the aura of the peak of the distraction period. A young man during the foundation building period is accompanied by a guard of such strength, and he also uses a 5th level spirit beast to pull the cart. His identity in the 5 Elements sect is definitely not low. If something happens to him in the secret realm, all those who have entered the realm may have trouble. Will you enter or not enter the secret realm this time? Young master, the situation in the secret realm is unclear this time. Why not wait for others to enter first before making a decision? The old woman respectfully said to the young man. The young man impatiently glanced at the cultivators around him and said, "Look at those guys who are scared out of their wits one by one. How many dare to enter? All right, don't say anything more. I must enter this secret realm." A white jade long sword appeared in his hand, and it flew up from him, stopping at a height of half a foot from the ground. Gently jumping onto the sword, the white jade long sword rushed into the secret realm with the young man, and no one dared to stop it. Yunlan looked at the pitch-black entrance of the secret realm, as if even her mind had been consumed together. Some fragments appeared before her, with flames in the sky, an endless world of ice and snow, howling winds, and strange willows waving rattan whips. A voice seemed to ring in Yunlan's ear. Everyone thought it was an ordinary secret realm, but to their surprise, it was an immortal mansion. Even the powerful family and son who crossed the tribulation period were trapped in it. Formation. Secret realm. Immortal legacy mansion. Yunlan only felt dizzy and almost fainted. Senior sister. What's wrong with you? Ming Zhao and Ming Yi noticed that Yunlan's state was not right, and they supported her left and right. After a moment, Yunlan recovered from her dizziness and said, "I'm fine." Maybe it was because catching that stone earlier consumed too much spiritual power. But the scene she saw was extremely realistic, and the voice seemed to be also something she heard with her own ears. Immortal Legacy Mansion. Can this secret realm be Immortal Legacy Mansion? End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Forced Entry. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Forced Entry. Senior Uncle, I have an ominous premonition that this secret realm may not be as simple as that. If it were only for me, it would be fine. There are still so many junior brothers and sisters. Perhaps due to the dizziness just now, Yunlan's face was a bit pale, with a hint of haggard. No matter whether the scene she sees is true or false, the appearance of the channel in this secret realm is already so eerie, making people have to think more. Even if it's a 1 in 10,000 chance, if they meet, it's a 100% chance for them. The sect will be severely damaged, and her 2 junior brothers will also be trapped inside. This secret realm is eerie, and Taoist Xuanqing was already hesitating whether to enter. Upon hearing Yunlan's words, the balance in his heart tilted towards the side that could not be moved. There are many small secret realms, and they chose the secret realm of Changchun Gate only because Changchun Gate is close to Tianyan sect. Moreover, there was also a young man with a high status in the 5 Elements sect inside. If the young man was okay, he would be fine. If something happened, he would be covered in blood for nothing. That being the case, Before Xuanqing could finish speaking, Yunlan was locked in by a powerful and irresistible spiritual force. The scenery in front of her changed, and 2 snow-white monster beasts, measuring 10 feet high, appeared in front of her. She unexpectedly arrived in front of the carriage. Observing up close, the 2 Yuyan horses had hair as white as jade, with crystal-clear roots and a breath of heat. Yunlan could feel it even 2 zhang away from them. Senior sister. Senior sister. The 2 brothers almost immediately wanted to chase after each other, but were carried back by Xuanqing Daoist, holding their collars one by one. Calm down, your senior sister is fine. Although the opponent's current strength is only at its peak during the Yuaning period, her former peak strength during the distraction period made even Xuanqing Daoist, who was in the early stages of distraction, dare not act recklessly. The old woman acted so recklessly that no one could guarantee that she had any other means at her disposal. Even if it's just those 2 jade horses, it's enough for everyone present to drink a pot. This is the territory of Changchun Gate, and Changchun Gate has not acted recklessly, making it even harder for him to take action. The key is: the old woman is a member of the 5 Elements sect. If there is a conflict with the other party, how will the 5 Elements sect view this matter? Ming Zhao and Minji were put down and climbed up to the edge of the cliff with their hands and feet, to see the situation of their senior sister. In addition to Yunlan, there were also several disciples from the sect that Yunlan had mentioned to his junior brothers who were brought to the old woman together. It's all the golden elixir period. It's not that Ming Zhao and Minji have exceptional talents, and during the foundation period, they were able to release their divine consciousness and explore the cultivation of the disciples who were taken over, but rather that their respective disciples were vaguely led by them from the beginning, which Ming Zhao guessed based on. But Xuanqing Daoist couldn't do nothing. His disciple was caught in front of him. If he acted in order to calm things down, he would lose face in the sect in the future. What do you mean by your trip, Taoist friend? The old woman gave him a sympathetic smile and said, "Don't worry, I have no ill intentions towards them. All the cultivators present are those who want to enter the secret realm to experience. I just want to ask them for something. Please." It sounds nice, but she didn't give these people the right to refuse. With her peak strength as a Yuaning, Yunlan couldn't have missed what Taoist Xuanqing had just said, but she still brought her along. The old woman had already spoken up and promised that she had no ill intentions. Taoist Xuanqing couldn't hold on and could only watch from the side to see what the old woman really wanted to do. In front of the stronger ones who surpassed her by so much, Yunlan dared not trade, but looked around with the remaining light of her gaze at the people who were brought here like her. There are 2 cultivators from Changchun Gate, 3 from Giant Spirit Gate, and 1 from Iron Bone Gate, all of whom are in the Golden Elixir period. With her added, there are a total of 7 people. Don't be nervous. The old woman smiled at Yunlan and the others, but even when she smiled, her ugly face remained gloomy and unfriendly. In theory, practitioners can have a chance to reshape their physical body when they reach the primordial stage, and their appearance can last forever. There should not be such ugly people in the cultivation world. However, it is not absolute. Some people have this hobby, and some people's appearance is related to their martial arts. If they suffer from injuries to their vitality, they may not be able to maintain their appearance and become what their true age should be. Yunlan cannot determine the situation of this old woman. A few people exchanged their gaze, but the female disciple led by Changchun Gate spoke up, "I wonder why the senior summoned us here. She is very clever, using summoning instead of catching, giving the other party enough respect and avoiding the possibility of offending them." The old woman laughed even louder, her voice hoarse and noisy like millions of crows speaking together. "As you just saw, my little master has entered the secret realm. I don't know what level of cultivators can be accommodated in this realm yet. I need you to keep him safe when necessary, and the 5 Elements sect will receive a heavy thank you." Everyone's faces changed. They are not those novice foundation building cultivators anymore, and even if they have not entered a few secret realms, they have some understanding of them. Now this secret realm looks really strange. They originally wanted to wait for the scattered cultivators to make a decision first. Although losing the opportunity is better than losing one's life. However, with the old woman's intervention, they now have to go in. And at first glance, that young man is not a good troublemaker. In the secret realm, it is impossible to obey their commands, and he may even catch fire. It's okay if he doesn't have any problems. If something happens, the 5 Elements sect will definitely take them for an attack. If rejected, the strong in the cultivation world will be respected. Even if this old woman's cultivation and identity kill them now, they have no place to reason. Even if we don't kill them and severely injure them, our future path of cultivation will be cut off. Both vertically and horizontally, it's better to enter a secret realm and perhaps gain a glimmer of vitality for oneself. Several people quickly reached an agreement. "Senior, we agreed. Gaga gaga, those who know current affairs are heroes." The old woman threw several bags at the people. "These are rewards paid to you in advance. Take them, maybe you can use them in the secret realm." Yunlan opened the bag and found a bag full of top-grade spirit stones. She roughly counted them, and they should be 100. This old woman is so generous. When the spiritual energy around them is not sufficient, cultivators can only rely on spiritual stones and elixirs for cultivation. So spirit stones are hard currency in the cultivation world, like gold and silver in the mortal world, but they are also consumables. It would be great to have a top-grade spirit stone for a regular golden elixir cultivator, even for disciples like Yunlan who have a sect in the golden elixir period. There is only 1 top-grade spirit stone per month. The other party is equivalent to giving them nearly 10 years of cultivation resources. Of course, these spirit stones were not taken for free. The old woman gave these things to them in advance, and if the young man had an accident, she would definitely retrieve them from them, regardless of whether it was related to them or not. Senior, my junior colleagues are still over there. Can you please explain to my junior brothers and sisters before entering? Yunlan asked. With the personalities of her two junior brothers, if she doesn't go back, they will definitely follow after she enters the secret realm. If it's just an ordinary secret realm, it's okay. If it's really an immortal secret realm, then the trouble will be big. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. We don't want your life buying money. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. We don't want your life buying money. The old woman agreed to Yunlan's request, and others followed suit. Hurry back and explain what needs to be explained. As soon as Yunlan returned to the area where Tianyan sect was located with his sword, Ming Zhao and Ming Yi squeezed forward one by one, occupying one of Yunlan's arms. Senior sister, are you okay? This is Minji. Senior sister, what did she say when she arrested you? This is Ming Zhao. They could see clearly that at that time, except for Yunlan, all the cultivators of the Golden Elixir period from other sects had been arrested by the old lady, and now they have been released again. It must have been done with a purpose. I'm fine, Yunlan first pulled the two little ones aside and bowed to Taoist Xuancheng, senior uncle. Is everything okay? Yunlan only felt a gentle force probing her body. She knew that Xuancheng Taoist was checking if she had been injured during the process of being taken over, but she still felt a strong sense of rejection in her heart, wanting to avoid such behavior from the other party. But she held back. The disciple is fine. The senior just wanted us to help her take care of the young man who just entered the secret realm, and even advanced a payment to us in advance. Yunlan unfolded the bag for Taoist Xuancheng to see clearly what was inside. That old woman is not weak and has a good background. Their words will definitely be heard by the other party, so Yunlan cannot speak directly, but she believes that Xuancheng Taoist can understand her meaning. Sure enough, when he saw such a large spiritual stone inside, Taoist Xuancheng's pupils narrowed for a moment, and he immediately gave up the desire to let other disciples enter the secret realm. Undoubtedly a member of the Five Elements sect, I casually took out 700 top-grade spirit stones. It's just a pity, Yunlan. Their Tianyan sect's inheritance is not prosperous, and they finally had such an outstanding disciple with outstanding qualifications, but in the end, since you have already agreed to her, please take good care of that young man in the secret realm. Xuancheng Taoist sighed. I understand. After explaining to the senior uncle, Yunlan called the two junior brothers to the side. Ming Zhao and Minji are 4 years younger than Yunlan. They were brought back to Ruoxu Peak by their master since childhood. They are very obedient and sensible, and also clingy to Yunlan. It can be said that Yunlan brought them up. Yunlan has no father or mother, and was raised by her master. They are like her own younger brothers, and with the addition of her master Mingzuzi and junior sister Lilua, there is no person in the world closer to them. So Yunlan was so certain that the scene before her was a heart demon, because her master, junior brothers, and sisters couldn't look at her with that kind of gaze. You two, listen to me. This secret realm is really strange. After I enter, you two should go back with your senior uncle honestly, don't think of coming to find me. The two brothers are naturally intelligent, why don't they understand what Yunlan means? They were close together, and they could see clearly what was in the bag that Yunlan took out. Coupled with the conversation between Yunlan and Taoist Xuancheng, they immediately guessed the beginning and end of this matter. Senior sister, please return that bag to her. Yunlan urged his spiritual power to block Ming Ye's mouth, preventing him from speaking the rest. He looked at Ming Zhao and said, Ming Zhao, you have a calm personality. Ming Yi is usually more outgoing, so you should look at him more in the future. Take these spirit stones, and in the future. We don't want it. Unexpectedly, Ming Zhao, who had always been sensible, pushed Yunlan's hand back. Be obedient, ah. Ming Zhao's eyes turned red and he shouted loudly, we will earn the spiritual stone ourselves. We don't want your life buying money. It was the first time Yunlan had seen Ming Zhao's hysterical expression, and she felt a bit lost. But time was limited, and she couldn't persuade her anymore. She could only focus on Xuanqing Daoist. Senior uncle, could you please help me hand over these spirit stones to my master's family? Although she didn't know why she was so resistant to her martial uncle after waking up this time, among so many people just now, only Taoist Xuanqing asked the old woman, which was already very good. In front of so many disciples, Yunlan believed that he would help her hand over the spirit stone to her master. Xuanqing Taoist lowered his eyes and said, Ming Zhao is right. You can keep these spirit stones yourself. There are many dangers in the secret realm, and you may be able to use them. I will keep an eye on them for you, and we will wait for you to come back in the sect. Yunlan had no choice but to keep these spirit stones safe when she saw that her senior uncle had said so. Uncle sure is right. There must be a way to drive to the front of the mountain, and there is a village with hidden willows and bright flowers. Although this may seem like a dead end, what if they come out alive with that young man? If it's really not possible, just find an opportunity to knock the young man unconscious, and bring him out when the secret passage is about to close. Without further ado, Yunlan wielded the Qinglian sword and flew to the entrance of the secret realm, waiting for the other 6 people to come and gather. I don't know what the situation is in the secret realm, but walking with others is the best choice. When encountering any unexpected situations, we can also take care of each other. The others saw that Yunlan had already set off, and they stopped procrastinating and flew over quickly. The 7 of them entered the pitch-black passage together. San Xiu is about to stir up. They have low cultivation and are not clear about what happened just now. However, as they watched the disciples of those major sects enter one by one after a period of time, they felt that perhaps there was no problem in the secret realm, it was just more dangerous. Did the young man from the 5 Elements sect enter without hesitation without looking at him? The so-called wealth insurance seeks, only dangerous places can bring them greater benefits. And they didn't know that the disciples of the Great Gate sect they referred to were ready to leave this place. After entering the channel, Yunlan only felt her body being torn by an inexplicable force. She quickly protected herself with spiritual power and took out a spirit stone in her hand, ready to restore the consumed spiritual power at any time. Fortunately, this tearing did not last long, and a glimmer of light appeared in the darkness, gradually expanding and soon beginning to fall. Whoosh! 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 There were also sounds of falling around, including other cultivators who had entered with her, and they were not separated. As her gaze gradually regained, Yunlan saw the surrounding environment clearly and they entered a forest. She breathed a sigh of relief. It's not the scene she had seen before, it's just an ordinary secret realm. Their group has not been separated, which means that the entrance to the secret realm should be fixed. They just need to follow the traces left by the young man and quickly find him. Protect him in the secret realm and safely lead him out, and this matter is considered a thing of the past. As she was about to land, the Qinglian sword appeared again at Yunlan's feet, preventing her from falling and hovering in mid-air. Others followed suit and stabilized their figure. Let's go down first, it's easy to attract the attention of monsters in the sky, said the Changchun Gate disciple who had eye contact with Yunlan. Everyone agrees. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Huang Yeye, from the middle stage of the Golden Elixir, and I am a Dan Xiu. It can be seen that Huang Xinyue has a high status among the disciples of the Changchun Gate generation, and naturally took over the leadership of the team, which made Yunlan happy and troublesome. She said, Huang Yeye is a Dan Xiu, how could he possibly wield a big knife to attack her? The appearance in the secret realm was completely different from the picture she saw, and indeed, there was a greater possibility of being haunted by inner demons. However, In this situation, she needs to be vigilant at all times and not let her inner demons affect her battle. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Qimen Dunjia. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Qimen Dunjia Lan Hong, in the early stage of the Golden Elixir, Dan Xiu. This is another disciple of the Changchun Gate. The second disciple of the giant spirit sect wearing a yellow-brown Taoist robe is introduced. Shen Yuan from the giant spirit gate, in the middle stage of the Golden Elixir, was the Dharma minister of water, moon, and bear. When the bull of the giant spirit gate gets drunk, in the early stage of the Golden Elixir, the 7 treasures of the Dharma are gourds. Li Dian from the giant spirit sect, in the early stage of the Golden Elixir, was the Dharma minister Yan Yudao. The number of disciples from the secret realm spirit gate this time is the highest, with a total of 50 or 60 people, so 3 cultivators from the Golden Elixir period came to protect the Tao. The Iron Bone sect disciple Wang Sheng, who was over 2 meters tall and naked with his upper body, said in a voice, Iron Bone sect Luo Dali, in the early stage of the Golden Elixir, was practicing physical cultivation. Only Yun Lan remained without any introduction, and everyone's attention was focused on her. Earlier, when the 2 jade flame horses shook and flew the small stones, they resisted the stones carrying the spiritual power of the 5th level spirit beast while observing the situation of other cultivators, so as to have a rough assessment of the strength of the incoming cultivators in advance. Yun Lan was the only one among them who could pick up the stone with her hand. Although she looked weak behind her for a while, it was still the spiritual power of a 5th level spirit beast. Her ability to carry it without getting hurt was enough to demonstrate her strength. Tian Yen Zong Yunlan, in the early stage of the Golden Elixir, practiced the Dharma. Everyone tacitly only told others about their cultivation and general situation, without revealing any details. As Yunlan said to her 2 junior brothers before, the heart to guard against others when going out is indispensable. Even if they are now grasshoppers on the same boat, they must leave a way out for themselves. What should we do now? Just go find that kid? Li Dian asked. Niu Izui understood his meaning and said, this secret realm looks no different from an ordinary one. He shouldn't encounter any danger in the short term. Perhaps we can first agree on a gathering time and signal, and explore separately for a while. The drunken words of Niu Yi moved the hearts of others. If we explore together with our junior brothers and sisters like before, the good things we find will definitely be distributed to everyone. But now, all the gains in the secret realm are their personal gains. If they merge with that young man, who knows if that young man will take good things for himself. From the young man's behavior just now, it can be seen that he has an extremely domineering temperament. Even the old lady is helpless. If they don't agree, they may even hold grudges and go out to settle accounts. However, Huang Xinyue's one sentence shattered their imagination. The situation in the secret realm is constantly changing. Can you guarantee that he will be fine during this period? Don't say what happened to him, even if he was only seriously injured, can we survive? Everyone's faces turned ugly. For the safety of the young man, the old lady caught them directly in front of their elders. The leader of Tianyan sect at least asked a question, but the elders of their sect were worried about offending the 5 Elements sect and didn't even fart. At the moment they were captured, they had already become abandoned children. Having 7 golden elixir cultivators protect a young man in the middle of building a foundation is really impressive. His 5 Elements sect is simply deceiving people too much. Luo Dali clenched his fist, but he did not hear anyone else's agreement. Yes, the 5 Elements sect bullies people too much, but what can they do? In the cultivation world, the strong are respected. The old lady has stronger strength than them, so she can decide their life and death. She dares to kidnap them in front of their sect, and even their sect elders dare not say a word. The other party's background is stronger than theirs. Even if they survive and leave this secret realm, even if that young man is slightly inferior, they can still cause trouble for them, and even lead to the destruction of their entire sect. Now they have at least received 100 top-grade spirit stones as a reward, which is already a fortunate thing in their misfortune. Let's find someone first, Yunlan said. Do you have any way to find someone? She had just taken out a compass to distinguish direction, but the compass kept rotating and could not distinguish direction. You cannot fly freely in the secret realm, otherwise you will only become the target of monsters in the forest. If a few people are scattered, it may even be troublesome to merge. A few people looked at each other, but in the end, Lan Hong spoke up, I have a sniffing mouse that can recognize the scent on the cultivator's body. If we can find the traces left by that young man, we can follow the scent to find him. Good idea. There's no need to find any trace of that boy, Shen Yuan said. That boy and the old woman are riding in the same carriage, and his body must have been contaminated with her scent. And the old woman gave us each a bag of spirit stones. Smell the scent rat that gave you that bag and see if we can find him through the old woman's scent. I'll give it a try, Lan Hong nodded. She took out a lotus-colored bag, opened the tie, and a silver-gray mouse jumped out of it. It was a spirit beast bag. Taking out the bag that the old woman gave them and letting the mouse smell it, the mouse immediately jumped off the ground from Blue Hong's hand, sniffing east and west, and finally locked in a direction. Found it. Let's hurry over and meet him as soon as possible. Okay. However, the change came very suddenly. As everyone applied their spiritual power to the soles of their feet and rushed towards the direction indicated by the mouse, the space in front of Yunlan seemed like a drop of water dripping onto the water surface, creating ripples. The other people who were just nearby disappeared. Yunlan narrowly stopped and held the Qinglian's sword in her hand, carefully observing the surrounding environment. It is impossible for a person to suddenly disappear, either she has encountered an illusion unconsciously, or they have triggered the formation. If it were the former, one only needs to identify the flaws in this illusion, and the illusion will naturally become ineffective. If it's the latter, then it's troublesome. I don't know where the other end of the formation leads. If they fall into danger, Yunlan will rashly pass by and will definitely end up in the same fate as the others. If she stayed here, she would not be able to find the young man of the Five Elements sect alone. She needs to identify the situation before making a decision. Blue sky, white clouds, tall trees. The sunlight shines through the leaves and falls on the ground covered in fallen leaves. The texture of the bark and leaves of the trees on the edge is very clear, each with its own differences. Natural illusions are generally not very dangerous, and identifying them is very simple, that is, the details. It often captures the current thoughts of the person trapped in the illusion and shapes it into the content they are most concerned about now, but after all, no one is casting the spell, so it cannot take into account the details. People who accidentally fall into illusions can easily discover flaws by starting from the details of the surrounding illusions. Of course, it cannot be ruled out that the illusion here has been brewing in the secret realm for tens of thousands of years, making it stronger than other illusions, or that the one casting the spell is actually a hidden monster, making it very difficult to distinguish. Since it was impossible to discern whether she was in an illusion from the details, Yunlan broke through the silence and took the initiative to attack. It is taboo to attack without knowing the enemy's strength when encountering them, but prolonged defense is even more taboo. In case the enemy is looking for opportunities to accumulate strength or setting up other traps, waiting is no different from waiting to die. The sword aura with a chill cut through the nearest big tree to Yunlan. She could clearly smell the unique fragrance of grass and trees emanating from the broken trunk, with a smooth cut and juice oozing out. If the details in illusion are difficult to perfect, then smell and taste are the easiest ways to detect illusion. Phantom can affect a person's five senses, whether it is visual, auditory, or tactile, which can be easily imitated, but it is difficult to cover all aspects of smell and taste. Yunlan is certain that this is not an illusion, so there is only one formation left. She looked towards the area where others disappeared suddenly. If all the trees in this area were cut down, perhaps something could be discovered. However, the formation seemed to sense her thoughts, and another ripple appeared in the space. The big tree that Yunlan had just cut off was gone, replaced by another intact forest. She didn't move half a step under her feet just now. Since it wasn't her movement, it was the forest that was moving. There is only one possibility that can cause this situation. Qimen Dunjia. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Escape. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Escape. Qimen Dunjia is a faction derived from the 5 elements and 8 trigrams, with the former being meticulous and the latter controlling the overall situation, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. From the perspective of breaking through the formation alone, Qimen Dunjia is the most difficult, because it buckles one ring at a time, pulling one hair and moving the whole body. If you cannot find a way to escape from the formation, you can only follow the master's arrangement and walk down the way, competing with the formation to win or lose. Either die or break through all the formations. But Qimen Dunjia also has its disadvantages. Compared to the flexibility and variability of the 5 elements and 8 trigrams, the changes in the formation of Qimen Dunjia are arranged during the formation process, and the required answers can be obtained through precise calculations. So as long as you have some understanding of Qimen Dunjia, breaking the formation is only a matter of time. After Yunlan figured out the key points, she circled around and quickly found the solution to this formation. But when she lifted her legs and prepared to step out of the formation, she couldn't help but freeze. Before this, she had never been in contact with Qimen Dunjia. How did she know about these things? And without any calculation, we found the eye of the formation. Just like the technique she used subconsciously to grab the small stone before, it was not a technique that could be understood with a single stroke of inspiration. Otherwise, Taoist Xuanqing would not have been so surprised. Doubted and puzzled, but Yunlan had no fear of the unknown. She could clearly feel that it was the ability she should have, and not just that. I just don't know why she forgot it, and there is no relevant memory in her mind. Based on her trust in herself, Yunlan lifted her sword and slashed towards the formation eye. The scene in front of me changed once again, but it did not move from one forest to a new one as before, but entered a fiery world. The ground, originally covered in fallen leaves, turned crimson and scorched, with no plants around. The sky was dark and shimmering with red light, and a burning sensation hit her face, accompanied by the smell of mud and sand, making Yunlan, who had ice like heavenly spiritual roots, very uncomfortable. As mentioned before, the most difficult part of Qimen Dunjia is that it buckles one ring at a time, pulling one hair and moving the whole body. Although Yunlan found the eye of the previous formation, that formation was not related to the core of the large formation. Therefore, after breaking through that formation, she did not come out of the entire large formation, but fell into a new small formation. This new formation is extremely familiar to Yunlan. As the secret passage opened, several shattered images came to her mind. Flames in the sky, an endless world of ice and snow, howling gusts of wind, strange willows waving rattan whips. The first one has already been proven. She has not triggered this formation yet. If she steps wrong, she believes that the flames in the sky will roar from the low-hanging clouds and become the scene she sees. I don't know how the young man and the others are doing. Without 1 or 2 protective treasures, I wouldn't be able to persist in this formation for too long. The Qimen Dunjia is interlocked with each other, and the spiritual energy that maintains the formation is also the same. It is universal for all formations, and any surplus can be used to make up for the deficiency at any time. If the large formation is not broken, the attack of the small formation will continue. After the raging flames, it was indeed an endless world of ice and snow, but Yunlan found some differences in this world of ice and snow. In theory, her ice-based heavenly spirit root is not afraid of the cold, and the colder the place, the more comfortable Yunlan is. But now, she's so cold that she's starting to tremble. The world in this formation is not real, but rather they have been blinded by some kind of magic to obtain such real feedback. After breaking through several small formations, Yunlan took out a spirit stone to restore the spiritual power in her body. We can't continue like this. If this is really not an ordinary secret realm, as she had seen before, but a fairy-left mansion, then this Qimen Dunjia is the defense line that the fairy has set up for her bone burial place. It cannot be just a few or a dozen. These small formations without difficulty can be easily arranged, with dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of possible ones. If this continues, even if Yunlan has enough spirit stones in her storage bag, she will still be exhausted to death. We must find a way to find the weak connection between the small array and the large array, and use this as a breakthrough point to rush outside. Although Qimen Dunjia has traces to follow, it is not static. Otherwise, Yunlan would not have broken through a new formation without moving. If she had a higher cultivation level, she could have used brute force to open a hole in the formation for her to enter and exit alone. But now, she can only sense the replacement of the small formation and the large formation at the moment when a small formation is broken. In the Qimen formation, it cannot be moved at all. Once it is moved, the small formation will be activated. At that time, Yunlan not only needs to search for the eye of the formation, but also needs to resist the attack of the formation. At that time, it is called Tian Tian and Di Di Ling. The cultivators who entered with her before, if not as cautious as Yunlan, were probably already struggling to support themselves. Breaking through one small formation after another, Yunlan finally found the power that did not belong to this formation in the process of formation transformation. The opportunity passed in an instant, and without hesitation, Yunlan gathered all her spiritual power on the sword and stabbed towards that spot. The ever-changing formation suddenly froze, and from the point where Yunlan hit, the space appeared like shattered glass, with fine cracks rapidly extending towards the surroundings. Finally, with a crisp click, fragments burst and the real environment outside was finally revealed. Yunlan immediately dodged and flew out. What she broke was only a small part of the entire formation, just like the small formations she had broken before, which would not affect the operation of the entire formation. I don't know if this formation has a self-healing function. If it does, if Yunlan continues to stay in place, the formation will quickly recover, and her previous efforts will be in vain. The Qingnian sword in hand is becoming increasingly green. It is indeed more convenient to use sword cultivation to break through the formation eye. Looking at the surrounding environment again, it seems like we have returned to the first formation. Looking around, there are endless mountains and forests, as well as rolling mountains. But unlike before, Yunlan could vaguely hear the roar of beasts and the movements of monsters in the mountains, which is what most secret realms look like. The trouble is, the entrance where they came in has disappeared. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Shadow Mouse. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Shadow Mouse. If this place is truly the Immortal Legacy Mansion, then the entrance they enter cannot be the true entrance to the Legacy Mansion. Although Yunlan's cultivation in the Golden Elixir period can be considered a genius among the younger generation of cultivators, in the eyes of Immortals, perhaps the other party could kill her with just a glance. As long as Immortals do not want others to turn their homes upside down, they will definitely treat the true entrance with caution and guard it tightly. If it's the real entrance, not to mention the Golden Elixir cultivators like Yunlan, even if they come in during the distraction period, it's probably just a face-to-face effort. So the entrance that appeared at Changchun Gate should have been a loophole in the operation of the big formation that guarded the true entrance for many years, which allowed them to take advantage of the opportunity and enter. The large array will actively absorb the surrounding spiritual energy for self-repair, which is also the reason why the channel will absorb the surrounding spiritual energy when it appears. After Yunlan arrived outside the main formation, she found that the concentration of spiritual energy in the Immortal Legacy Mansion was several times stronger than the outside world, even more abundant than the spiritual energy provided by the small spiritual branch on the Ruoxu Peak. If it weren't for the great formation of Qimen Dunjia constantly absorbing this spiritual energy, the concentration of external spiritual energy would have risen to a very terrifying level at the moment when the immortal legacy appeared. It can also be inferred that the strength of those demon beasts in the forest is definitely not weak. The entrance has disappeared, although the inside cannot go out, it does not mean that the outside cannot come in either. However, one thing is certain. If Yunlan and his team want to go out, they must crack this big formation. If they attack from the outside in, with their strength in the golden elixir period, this is simply impossible to accomplish. But she is now inside the Ifu, disintegrating from an undefended interior, which provides the possibility for this to be impossible. The goal of breaking down the main formation coincides with Yunlan's intention. She needs to safely take the young man of the five elements sect out of the secret realm in order to overcome the difficulties in front of her. Although this incident was a shameless disaster for Yunlan, which made people feel very frustrated, there is a saying that if you keep the Green Mountains, you are not afraid of burning firewood. If you don't even have your life, the opportunity for revenge cannot appear again. Before breaking through the formation, Yunlan's first task is to ensure the safety of her area. Although most of the movements she felt before were deep in the mountains and forests, it does not mean that there are no monsters on the periphery that can pose a threat to her. The richness of spiritual energy in this area can be attributed to the presence of large demons with a rank of 6 or higher in the depths, which is equivalent to the cultivation period of a cultivator, while ordinary monsters on the periphery may be of the 2nd or 3rd rank, during the foundation building period, or the golden pill period. Since she came out of the formation just now, she has been feeling a faint gaze sweeping over her. That guy's position must be not far from her, otherwise the feeling wouldn't be so clear, but Yunlan's divine sense couldn't detect the other person's existence. Since that's the case, then we can only let it take the initiative to appear. When encountering enemies in the forest, it is not advisable to clear this area to search for them unless you have absolute strength. Although clearing the forests and shrubs in this area can make the enemy lose their hiding place, at the same time, one's own position will be exposed to the enemy without any precautions. At this time, the enemy is dark and we are clear, and it is easy to be attacked by surprise. If you really can't find the other person, the best way is to leave here. If the other party has malice towards you, it will naturally follow your actions and expose its position. If the other party has no malice towards you, leaving can also effectively avoid conflicts. However, it is obvious that Yunlan cannot leave this place at this time. She has just arrived here, and this place is in a strange state for her. She cannot guarantee that the place she is going to will be worse than here now. So the best way is to force the owner of the line of sight out, drive them away, or simply solve them. Frost's descent. Yunlan picked up the magic formula in her hand, and a cold breath spread out from her along with the white mist. Wherever the white mist passed, the ground, flowers, tree trunks, and leaves were all stained with a layer of white frost. There are very few ice-attribute spiritual roots in the cultivation world, so there are very few classics that Yunlan can refer to. Most of the spells are developed by her based on the spells of other attribute spiritual roots. Frost drop can lower the surrounding temperature, and the lower the temperature, the more spiritual power is consumed. However, on the other hand, it can save time and spiritual power required for the formation of cloud, lawn, and ice attribute spells. At this moment, the frost around her was condensed from Yunlan's spiritual power, and she could sense every tree, every flower, and even every ant in the area covered by the frost. As long as the guy in the dark is disturbed by this frost, she can accurately locate it. Got it. That was a small creature that was originally hiding in an inconspicuous tree hole. After being covered in cold frost, it was unclear whether the low temperature had angered it or if it had panicked and rushed straight towards Yunlan. Its fur could block divine consciousness, and it wasn't until it appeared in front of Yunlan that she could see the appearance of that little thing clearly. The green lotus sword swung out abruptly, stopped, and was replaced by a cage shaped with ice, covering it inside. That is a large mouse with dark and shiny fur, about the size of a palm, with only a slight bluish tail and a faint purple light. If she didn't admit it wrong, this is the shadow mouse mentioned in Spirit Beast Collection. In fact, its strength is weaker than that of a cultivator in the Qi refining period, but its speed is extremely fast. Its fur can block divine consciousness, and it feeds on various poisons, making its whole body extremely poisonous. Its poison is a mixed poison with growth potential, and the strength of its toxicity is directly related to the poison it has eaten. If accidentally poisoned by it, the poison cultivator can only accept fate and pray that the shadow mouse they encounter has not eaten any highly toxic substances. In the past, there were cultivators who specialized in raising this kind of monster to cultivate poison specifically for dealing with cultivators. Once, during the period of crossing tribulations, a great power was accidentally defeated, and Shadow Mouse also entered the view of cultivators. Everyone began to take this inconspicuous little thing seriously, and no one wanted to capsize in the sewer, so when they encountered it, they could kill it. Later, they gradually disappeared from the cultivation world. I didn't expect there to be one here. Squeak. The shadow mouse screamed angrily in the ice prison, gnawing on the ice railing with its teeth. The areas it had bitten on had purple and black colors spreading out. It seems that this shadow mouse has consumed a lot of poison in the Immortal Legacy Mansion, which is why it has such a fierce temperament. It was probably because it wanted to rely on its toxicity and ability not to be detected by divine consciousness to come and kill Yunlan with one strike. Unfortunately, it has a scent of frost on its body. As long as it is still within the range of frost, it cannot escape the control of Yunlan. Anyone who replaces it with someone else who has not discovered its methods may have already been hit. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Ultimate Spirit Stone Drops. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Ultimate Spirit Stone Drops. The Shadow Mouse is indeed very dangerous, but the place where Yunlan is now is even more dangerous. Perhaps he will have the opportunity to use this little thing in the future. Yunlan took out a spirit beast bag and collected the shadow mouse, waiting to meet with others before finding an opportunity to tame it. As for now, Shadow Mouse is difficult to tame in its wild nature. If released, it may be an enemy rather than a friend, and may even harm itself. It is a double-edged sword that kills 1,000 enemies and self-damages 800. However, if there is a moment when it has to be released, Yunlan can also kill it in the spirit beast bag, take its blood and throw it out, which greatly wastes the Shadow Mouse's ability. Check the surrounding environment again. Yunlan jumped onto the branch of the tallest tree nearby and observed the composition of this large formation. Although there are still monster beasts in the forest, Yunlan has not found any traces of other powerful monster beasts nearby, and it is estimated that this shadow mouse has taken care of them. As long as you don't fly around in the sky to lure and expose your existence, you don't need to consider safety issues for now. Most formations hide their own existence from others, but careful observation can also reveal clues. Especially the formation that Yunlan is currently facing. Based on the principle of Qimen Dunjia, it is easier for people to discover patterns. Looking from the tree, a large area in front of us is obscured by a thin layer of mist, which is faintly divided into 8 parts, each of which is further divided into countless small pieces. The middle position is unobstructed, undoubtedly the core of the formation. The person who arranged the formation clearly knew the flaws of Qimen Dunjia, so there was no intention of hiding the core of the formation, and they directly placed it at the center of the formation. No matter which direction you go from, you can only use the dumbest method to break through one small formation after another. Yunlan naturally wouldn't choose to break through this big formation alone, just like when she chose to find an opportunity. With so many subordinate small formations, breaking them one by one would exhaust her to death. She came up now to see if she could find her teammates. The formation is activated from the inside, and you should be able to detect movement from the outside. The premise is that her teammates have not been teleported too far. If they are too far away from her position, it is better to choose to break through the formation on their own. Yunlan was lucky, and after observing for a while, she discovered the location of one of her teammates. Under the mist outside the formation, there was a faint glimmer of magical energy. Although it only occasionally flashed, it was still caught by Yunlan. It's not too far from her, you can reach it by breaking through 7 formations. Remember the route. Yunlan jumped down from the tree, walked forward and marked it to avoid getting lost in this forest. Just now she took a look at the compass, and perhaps the reason for losing direction here is not related to the formation, but rather the problem of the entire legacy mansion, with the aim of hiding the true location of the legacy mansion. However, since the formations here are all composed of Qimen Dunjia, perhaps the location of the immortal legacy mansion can also be determined through calculation. That's all secondary. With Yunlan's current strength, she can't even reach the depths of that forest. It's better to find her teammates first. Breaking the formation from the inside requires finding the eye, but breaking from the outside only requires finding a base. A formation consists of an eye and a base, with the base being the foundation and the eye being the core of the formation. Both are indispensable. Within the formation, the closer to the base, the greater the impact of the formation, so only the eye of the formation can be found. Yunlan broke through the outer formation closest to his teammate with a sword, and the fog in this area dissipated. The other formations revealed several sparkling spirit stones. This spirit stone is crystal clear and even purer than the top-grade spirit stone in Yunlan's hand. Is it? This is a top-quality spirit stone. Although 100 top-grade spiritual stones in the cultivation world are equivalent to 1 top-grade spiritual stone, the spiritual energy in the top-grade spiritual stone is soft and extremely pure, making it the most suitable spiritual energy for cultivators to absorb during cultivation. Therefore, few people exchange it with others. Even though Yunlan is a core disciple of the Tianyan sect, she has never seen any top-quality spirit stones, so this is just her speculation. If this formation is all composed of top-quality spirit stones, how many spirit stones must there be? If she had all these spirit stones in her bag, she couldn't continue to think about it. In such a dangerous place, she would never be able to hold on for long alone. Previously, she was lucky enough to meet a shadow mouse with weak abilities. If she encountered a monster of the same level, it could affect her state. Moreover, there are so many formations here that she cannot break them alone. Although she needs to share a portion with her teammates when she finds them, the efficiency of obtaining spirit stones has also increased, and she can save the young man as soon as possible. Unfortunately, the formation she had previously broken was immediately taken in by another formation, so she did not find any spirit stones left behind after the formation was broken. The 7 formations provided Yunlan with 56 spirit stones, and she finally arrived at the area where her nearest teammate was located. This teammate obviously doesn't have much understanding of the formation, otherwise it wouldn't have been so long without moving and he would have been trapped here. Yunlan can hear the deafening roar of people inside even outside, it's Luo Dali. She couldn't see what was outside the formation, but after breaking through the formation, Luo Dali naturally emerged from this gap. Before Luo Dali could react, his fist was wrapped in spiritual power and swung towards the sky, resulting in a hollow blow. Where's the stone? He looked around and found that the surroundings had changed, and there was also an extra person around him. You are the one from Tianyan sect. That. He did that several times, but still didn't remember Yunlan's name. Yunlan didn't mind this and introduced herself again, my name is Yunlan. We were in a huge formation composed of many small formations before, and currently I only found your position. I haven't found anyone else's position yet. I see. Luo Dali felt embarrassed as he rubbed his head. I was walking just now and found that you were all missing. I thought it was you who didn't keep up. But soon after, there was a sudden rain of boulders in the sky, and it has been here ever since. Yunlan. Didn't he realize he was trapped in the formation? That strange action was actually using one's own fists to forcefully shoulder a huge stone, worthy of being a disciple of the Iron Bone sect, and I don't know how the Iron Bones sect taught them. Yunlan lifted her hand and the scattered spirit stones were sucked into her hand by spiritual power. She divided them in half and handed them to Luo Dali. These formations are made of spirit stones, and once broken, they will drop. Here's for you. Luo Dali saw the spirit stone in Yunlan's hand and his breath became rapid. Is this the finest spirit stone? I estimate it is. He took a few deep breaths but didn't answer. You broke this formation, and I came out just as you did. You can take these. Isn't there other formations here? I'll break a few too and I'll have them. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. White Whoring. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 White Whoring. This large formation is built on the basis of Qimen Dunjia, with countless small formations, each linked to another. If one is in a formation and breaks down a small formation, the people inside will immediately transfer to a new formation. Only by destroying it from the outside can the people inside come out. Yunlan told Luo Dali. At present, I have only found your position alone. We need to rescue the young man from the formation as soon as possible. With his ability to build the foundation, he won't be able to hold on for too long. I understand. What should I do now? Luo Dali asked her. Outside the formation, we can vaguely see the internal situation of the formation. As long as the formation is activated, we can see the spiritual light of the spells inside, but it is not obvious. But there is no way, we can only use this stupid method to find their position and rescue people now. There is always a better way than nothing. Yunlan and Luo Dali were each responsible for observing an area, and it was indeed much easier. The second person was discovered by Luo Dali, 13 formations away from their location. This time they did not follow the shortest route, but broke through one on each side, so that everyone could harvest the spirit stone. However, Luo Dali has not studied the formation and cannot find the position of the formation base. He needs Yunlan's help to point it out. However, on the contrary, he will give half of the spirit stones as a reward. If it weren't for Yunlan, he would have to resort to violence to break through a formation, and then he would have used all his strength. It's not impossible to break through that formation, but in terms of time and speed, it's incomparable to Yunlan. Maybe he only broke one out of Yunlan's 10. It's better to ask Yunlan for help. The same amount of time can consume less spiritual power and earn more spiritual stones, which is very cost-effective for him. This time they found Blue Rainbow. The formation where Lan Hong is located is a swamp, where not only can she easily sink, but there may also be spells attacking her at any time. There are still many traces of spell residue on her body, all left by the spells attacking her in the swamp without her attention. Fortunately, she is Dan Xiu, and she doesn't have anything else. If she had enough pills, she wouldn't have been able to hold on long ago. Once they found Lan Hong, it was even easier for them to find others because Lan Hong had the presence of a sniffing mouse in her hand. Although this formation can affect people's 5 senses, the scent of human existence will not be obscured by the formation, and passing by will leave traces. Lan Hong was also surprised by the existence of top-quality spirit stones in the formation, but she didn't say much. She knows a little about Qimen Dunjia, but she doesn't know much about it. She can find the formation base and her speed is not as fast as Yunlan's. Later, it was discovered that Yunlan could almost locate the position of the formation at a glance, so she followed the example of Luo Dali and divided out half of the top-quality spirit stones for her to help guide. Yunlan can easily add a few top-notch spirit stones without any effort, so naturally she is willing. Let's find that boy first before we talk. The three of them discussed and decided to directly rely on the ability of the sniffing mouse to lock in the young man. Both Lan Hong and Luo Dali have experienced the situation in the formation. As long as the cultivator in the Golden Core period is careful and adds the spirit stone given by the old woman, they can still persist for a period of time. Of course, if they hand over the spirit stones to their peers or elders before entering the secret realm without any supplies, it will be more troublesome. But no matter how troublesome it is no more dangerous than that young man. That young man's strength is only in the middle of building a foundation. If he were killed by them, it would be fine. If he died in this formation before they found him, they would really be unjustified. With the unreasonable appearance of the old woman before, she may not only blame them for this matter, but also implicate the sect behind them. A behemoth like the Five Elements sect is not something that these small sects can handle. Luo Dali sat down on the ground and shouted, "I can't do it anymore. I need to rest for a while and restore my spiritual power. I don't know how long this formation will break, it feels endless and can't be broken at all." Compared to other cultivators, their attacks are more powerful and require more spiritual energy. At first, the attraction of top-quality spirit stones to him was still great, but repeating such work repeatedly, even if the top-quality spirit stones are cherished, they cannot keep people's initial passion for a long time. In fact, Yun Lan's situation is not as good as she appears on the surface, but as a Dharma practitioner, she habitually controls the consumption of spiritual power and always holds a spiritual stone in her hand to restore spiritual power, barely maintaining a balance of spiritual power in her body. "Do you see anyone in the formation over there?" Lan Hong said. Yun Lan and Luo Dali looked towards the place pointed by Lan Hong, and in the formation shrouded in mist, lightning and thunder were clearly in an activated state. "There hasn't been such a commotion in that place just now, it's obvious that the other party has just been teleported. They are separated by two formations, which can be said to be very close compared to the formations they have already broken before." As the formation shattered, a yellow-brown figure stumbled out from inside, and it was the disciple of the giant spirit sect, Nyoizue. Nyoizue's body was also in a state of embarrassment, and he didn't know what had happened to him before. His Taoist robe was torn and tattered, with a burn on it, and he was panting heavily. "Are you okay?" After Nyoizue realized he was an acquaintance, he breathed a sigh of relief and said, "It's okay, this place is too strange. Just now, in the blink of an eye, all of you were gone. I finally broke one formation and fell into another. We were in a huge formation before, but it was Yunlan Daoyu who saved us." Luo Dali enthusiastically told Nyoizue about the situation of the formation. After hearing that breaking the formation could obtain the top-grade spirit stone, Nyoizue looked at Yunlan, who was collecting the top-grade spirit stone, and didn't say much. "I don't know how far that boy is from us, let's rest in place for a while before continuing," Yunlan said. Lan Hong and Luo Dali need to replenish the consumed spiritual power, while Nyoizue was injured, and everyone needs some time to rest. Yun Lan has been controlling the use of her spiritual power from beginning to end, and her current breathing is just restoring the mental energy she has consumed, so she is the one who can rest and recover the fastest. While waiting for her teammates to recover, she did not idle, but continued to break through the surrounding formations and accumulate as many top-quality spirit stones as possible. Prior to this, they had already reached a tacit agreement that whoever broke the formation would have the spirit stone dropped inside. At least for Luo Dali and Lan Hong, they supported such distribution. Nyoizue took a healing pill that looked good, and surprisingly woke up earlier than Lan Hong and Luo Dali. At this time, Yun Lan had already cleared a large safe area of the surrounding formation. I don't know if Nyoizue had his own considerations. After waking up, he didn't communicate with Yun Lan, but pretended to be still in a meditative position. Yun Lan noticed his little movements when he woke up, but did not point them out. When entering the secret realm, it was his suggestion. Before going to find the young man, let everyone explore the secret realm separately for a period of time. From this point, we can see his personality. The saying goes, people die for wealth, and birds die for food. So many top-quality spirit stones are enough to make a cultivator in the Golden Core period moved. If Nyoizue wants to collect more spirit stones and doesn't go with them, Yunlan won't stop him. But if he wants to use any crooked brain on them, she won't be too soft either. Not long after, Luo Dali and Lan Hong woke up one by one, and their spiritual power had returned to its full potential. Let's continue. Lan Hong summoned the fragrant mouse and asked it to continue leading the way. Along the way, Yunlan helped Luo Dali and Lan Hong point out the formation base, and they shared half of the spirit stones with her. Nyoizue didn't say much about everyone's choices and followed behind the team, learning from others and breaking through the formation on his own. But after breaking through a formation, he found that the others had already walked far and he couldn't keep up with their speed. If he cannot quickly find the formation base, he cannot break through the formation quickly. Even if he can find it through deduction, it will take some time, which will only make him farther and farther away from others. Yunlan Daoyu, could you also help me check the position of the formation base? Nyoizue only asked Yunlan for help, without saying a word about the compensation he was willing to pay. End of this chapter.